Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us.
Good.
We're going to wait just a few minutes as we get started at 6 o'clock. To have you here, and as we get ready to launch the 26-27 school year. Good evening. Thank you again for joining us this evening. My name is Chris Monroe, and it is my honor and privilege to serve as superintendent for Santa Cruz City Schools. We're excited to welcome you and your families to the 26-27 school year. And I'm going to ask our team on the screen here to do a welcome. But first, I'm going to ask Elisa Gonzalez to explain how the translation is going to work this evening. Buenas noches, gracias por venir. Elisa, traducir para mí esta noche. And then, Elisa, can you explain?
Sí, buenas tardes. Yo voy a estar haciendo las traducciones y va a haber un enlace abajo donde va a poder oprimir el botón y lo va a llevar a otra pantalla donde yo voy a hacer la traducción. Were you able to hear me?
I'm going to start it. Go. Okay, Sam, will you start with the introductions?
Sure. So here, can I start sharing my screen
Why don't we have
or do you
everyone
want to
on
wait?
the panel? Should we have everyone on the panel introduce themselves first and then we'll launch?
Sure. So hi everybody. I'm Sam Rollins. I'm the Chief of Communication for Santa Cruz City Schools. I'm going to be taking you through most of the presentation here, but I have a panel of people with me who are going to be helping to answer all of your questions. You can answer questions or ask your questions down in the chat. Yeah, there's a Q&A feature. If you click on yeah, it's down at the bottom of the screen. You can ask your questions there throughout the entire presentation, and the panel will answer the questions. But then after our short informational pitch about what you need to know in the district, we'll be reading those out and answering them in person. So here with me today, and I'm just going to go to my left and start with Chris, though she already introduced herself. A lot more people have joined since then, so we'll start there.
Again, I'm Chris, and it's my privilege to serve as superintendent for Santa Cruz City Schools. Thank you for joining us this evening.
All right, and with us today is also Dorothy Coito. Dorothy, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hello, everyone. Happy new school year. My name is Dorothy Coito, and I am Assistant Superintendent of Educational Services.
All right, and Elisa can't introduce herself to the whole group because she's now over in interpretation. But Casey, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, good evening, everybody. I'm Casey O'Brien, the Director of Student Services. I am so glad you're here. If you're new to us, welcome, welcome. You are in the right place at the best school district in the Central Coast.
Right on. Yeah, actually, I should say that most of us either have had schools in the district or, like me, currently have schools or not schools, students in the district. I've got my son is in third grade and my daughter is in seventh grade. So no high school experience yet as a parent. But Chris, can you um, add me as a screen sharer and we'll get going.
Sam, is it not working?
No, it's not. Doesn't look like it's an option yet. It looks like they slightly changed the interface here.
Do you
I
want me
sent
to?
a I sent a request to share. I mean, yeah, you can if that would be easier.
I gave permissions, but here, let's.
Oh, no, there it goes. Okay.
All right.
It wasn't working. Now it is.
Sam, can you also clarify that we're not going to take raised hand questions, that
Oh,
we
yeah.
will that we will be answering questions in the Q&A that's available in the bottom of your screen.
Right, yeah. So as I said, at the bottom of your Zoom screen, you should in the options there, you should see something that just says Q&A, and you'll be able to type in your questions there. And we're gonna, as I'm giving the presentation, I'm sure that my co-panelists are going to be answering those questions as they come in. But then after I talk to you for a little bit, we'll also be reading out questions from the Q&A and answering them for the whole group so that everyone benefits from those answers. So first and foremost, I just want to thank everyone for being here. I know that it's always a little bit crazy starting a new school year, but we're really glad that you're giving us this time. We like to put ourselves sort of at your disposal at the start of every school year so that it's easy to ask questions and, anything that you're not sure about, we can make as simple as we can. We really appreciate that you're here. We already did our introduction, so I'm not going to spend time on that. Whenever we have a public meeting, we do like to start with our goals and values. I'm not going to read them all out here, but the short version is that we believe that it is our responsibility to give everyone what they need to reach their highest potential, and that public school is here to position everyone for success. And by doing so, we make our society stronger. I think that's a fair summary in general. Those are posted on our website, and they're posted on pretty much every presentation that we ever put up and post. So you'll have lots of opportunities to read through them. Our agenda here today may seem like a lot of stuff. We're going to go through it pretty quickly because, again, we want to spend a lot of our time on Q&A. We are going to be briefly covering free food in the district. We're going to talk a little bit about how we're working to protect mental health supports in the district and how you can help. We will be discussing how we're starting the college and career conversation earlier and what that looks like at the start. We're going to be talking about a district-wide attendance campaign and why we're running it this year. We're going to make sure that parents have a good understanding of the technology controls that are available to you and talk a little bit about technology use in schools. But kind of think the main reason we run this every year is we want to make it very clear. We want to make sure that everyone understands what academic help looks like and what social, emotional, and mental health looks like at school and how you can connect with those resources. What's the easiest way of getting in touch with them? So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk briefly about our communication channels and sort of how you can get in touch with us and how we're going to be getting in touch with you throughout the school year. And then we're going to talk briefly about school safety and the building and modernization that's happening across the district. So, first and foremost, we're incredibly happy that California is continuing to provide free food for all students. It's a wonderful thing. It brings students together. It provides, a necessary support for everyone who comes to school. But we want to make sure that everyone understands how important it is to sign up for free food. Now, you will get free food. Your kid will get free food whether or not you sign up. We want to make that clear. But certain parts of our funding in California are tied to everyone who is eating on campus signing up for free food. There's a lot that we learn about who is in our district from this form. And the state of California really expects us to get as many people as we can to fill it out. So if you finish it's still called an application for free food, left over from the days when people had to apply to see if they qualified. But by filling out this application, you will help release the full funding for your school for math, writing, and counseling programs, as well as ongoing food programs. A nice thing about this is if depending on whether you would have qualified for free food before it was free to all, this form can help you get discounts on your cable bill, college entrance exams, AP tests, and things like that. So it's really important that everybody fills it out. There's a QR code here, but we're also going to be putting that link on all of our school websites as well. Feel free to ask more about why that's so important. We also have a new unique opportunity that we want people to be aware of. We're incredibly happy to be able to have mental health supports at our schools, at all of our schools. But as we'll talk about throughout the year, these are not funded resources from the state or the federal government. So we're always looking for ways of making sure that we can sustain and preserve these services. And a new law in California has given us a lot of hope. There is now a law that requires California insurers, both public and private, to help pay for mental health services that are offered in schools. It's a reimbursement program where the insurance companies will pay us directly. But we need families to opt into it, which does mean sharing your insurance policy, insurance information with us. There is no cost associated with it. We don't charge for these services on campus, and insurance companies are not allowed to charge you if you opt in. It's solely a way that insurance companies can reimburse schools for these mental health services. So again, this is something incredibly important. This is something you can really help us out with and help us all to preserve mental health supports at schools. You're going to be hearing a lot about this from us this year, but we wanted to make sure you knew at the outset. Again, the QR code's up here, but this will also be, this is posted on the district website. We also wanted to let everyone know that one of our campaigns this year is going to be aimed at attendance. And this really is tied to attendance data. It's now very clear in the data that better attendance leads to more academic success, which leads to more likelihood of being accepted into college and good colleges. It leads to more career success. Better attendance actually leads to less anxiety and closer friendships because of the social emotional time spent together. And there's a very clear amount of census data that ties better attendance and better success in school to higher pay. So this is going to be a big push district-wide. We're going to be talking about it in our schools. We're going to be putting signage up in our schools. And we're also going to be sending messages to parents throughout the year to make sure that everyone understands how important it is to be at school every day for the success of your kid, both in social emotional contexts and in academic ones. One of the other new things at our school this year is a campaign making sure that hate speech has no place on campus. There is sadly a rise nationwide in hate speech, and there's been data to show that there's a rise in hate speech on school campuses as well. So you may or may not know that we have a group that's called the Superintendent's Student Advisory on Race and Equity, which is a group of middle and high school students who come together a few times a year to discuss basically what is needed for better support, better student support on campus, and what students want us to be doing to make sure that everyone is welcome on campus. And so this year we have a campaign that was designed with student help, or heavily involved in it. Students took leadership on it to make sure that in every classroom and in every space in our secondary campuses, we have guides that make it clear how you can intervene anytime you hear hate speech and how you can interrupt it, just to make sure that all students know that we're on the same page and that we're working to make sure that everyone feels welcome in our schools. There's going to be more than just the posters. That's the start of it. There's going to be PSAs that students are putting together and other curriculum pieces on campus, but this is something we're excited about because it's a piece of student leadership, and we wanted to let everyone know about it at the start of the school year. We also are going to be, this is the theme today, one of the things we're going to be working on all year is making sure that parents understand all the resources that are available to them. And one is an app that we have available that allows parents to manage and control what students are doing on their district issued Chromebooks. These Chromebooks are used, in school sometimes for class assignments, and then there are also homework assignments that are completed on them. But we wanted to make sure that parents had the ability to, and this is what the Go Guardian app does. That's the app that we're using. It allows you to set off times for internet on the Chromebook so that it can't access anything. At any time, you can open it up and just cut off internet to your student's Chromebook. You can also enter in websites that you would like to have blocked, and you can stop them from being accessible on the Chromebook. So all you have to do to get the app is in your app store on your smartphone. It's both in the Apple App Store and the Android Store, Google Store. Find the Go Guardian Parent app and then sign up just using the email that you used to register your student. And then once you verify that in your email, you will have access to your student's Chromebook. Now, if you log in today, you probably won't see much because all of those Chromebooks are essentially off right now in terms of school mode. But yeah, that simple app allows you to gain a lot of control over your student's Chromebook. Feel free to ask questions about that as well. And throughout the year, we're going to be sharing more of that information. We wanted to remind everyone that in middle school, in elementary school, kids cannot have cell phones out. They can have them in their backpacks if necessary and that sort of thing, but they're away for the day in school. The same is true in middle school. And in high school, now phones are away during class. Students can't use their cell phones in class. That was new last year, and it went really well, and students picked that up and ran with it. And so that's been going really well, but we wanted to make sure that everyone is aware of it here at the start of the school year. And this is all part of kind of an ongoing campaign district-wide to make sure that parents are supported in limiting access to screens and social media recreationally. We are believers and are going to continue talking about the Wait Till 8th campaign, which is an idea that parents wait till 8th rhymes. So it sounds nice, but really it's a campaign to just delay getting a smartphone for your student as long as possible, because that's what's best for their development and their mental health. We're in school, we discuss the connection between things like social media and screen time with this anxiety and depression. Students Also in school, they learn about vetting information and spotting misinformation online. And we have more resources for families that we want to make sure people know about. If you go into the families section of the district website, you can find there's social media resources that we're adding to there all the time to help parents better control devices and things like that, but then also just good advice and best practices stuff for the home. We also want parents to know that we're starting our college and career conversation earlier, that both career technical education opportunities and the conversation of being A through G compliant, which those are the classes, the credits that are necessary for college admission in the UC and state school system. We're having those conversations and we're having those opportunities start in middle school. Just to make sure that everyone is thinking about the future. We try to bring it up in ways that aren't that don't create pressure, but that allow it to become part of the landscape of kids' future early on. We also want our parents to know that October is College and Career Awareness Month, and there's going to be activities and programs happening at your school during that time. We also are excited to have a set of tools from something called the California College Guidance Initiative, which is a set of tools that helps families see and understand their kids' transcript, make plans on what classes are going to be necessary in high school, to help navigate the college application process, and also the financial aid process as well. Again, feel free to ask more questions about that in the chat. Okay, so what academic supports are available at school and what does academic help look like if your student needs it? All of our schools have a teacher support teacher called an RTI coordinator on campus who helps to design custom supports around students who need them. Those supports include interventions during the school day where staff work directly with students or get students into groups of like learners if they need more support in any content area. There is tutoring available in middle and high school, both peer tutoring and professional tutoring. We have credit recovery courses in high school. Oh yeah, peer tutoring, which I mentioned. And then we do have limited summer school options available for students who need further academic support. Those are sort of the basic academic supports at school, and I should have switched that slide earlier for Elisa. Within the classroom and within the school, there will be, other supports available, but this is sort of what the basics look like. And so what we want to make it easy for everyone to get in touch with these supports. Now, professionals at school are going to be looking at your students' progress and deciding if they need supports. But if you have any questions about them or want to bring it up, the easiest place to go for any academic help is to reach out to who you know best on campus. We want to make that as easy as possible. For most of you, that's probably your teacher, but it could be your counselor, your either social emotional or academic counselor, the principal or the assistant principal in middle and high schools. We really don't want people worrying about what the protocol is. If you have a question or if you feel like you have a need, bring it up to the person that you have most connection with. Once again, should have changed that a bit earlier. But never feel bad about asking questions. We want everyone to know that, and that we'll respond as best we can. So we also have counseling supports available for students. Obviously, we're really happy to be able to have mental health counseling programs on all of our campuses, as well as social emotional learning curriculum in our TK through 8 classrooms. We have additional licensed therapists in middle and high school, as well as social workers at all grade levels. Throughout the year, we have workshops and counseling to help students avoid substance abuse and anxiety and depression and that sort of thing. We also regularly make referrals out to community resources. And one thing that we're really excited about, which I'll talk about a little bit more in a moment, is our wellness centers in the high school. We now have essentially hubs for these resources where students can just walk through the doors at any time. And whether they have a question or a pressing need, they know where to go. But as for you, uh, the answer to where to go to get social, emotional, or mental health support is the same as the academic one. Reach out to who you know. Now, some of your schools will have a link of some kind to refer a student for a counseling session. Some schools don't have that set up, but at all schools, you can reach out directly to the counselor or to your classroom teacher and bring up anything that you need and ask for any of the support that you need. Again, in high schools as well, parents can reach out to the wellness center and let them know, you know, we always like to say reaching out for help doesn't have to mean someone in crisis. It can be as simple as, my kid is going through something difficult with their friend group, and I'd like them to have more support. Or I'm worried about the stress that they seem to be experiencing coming up on a big test. These are the things that we want to know about so that we can help. And so don't be nervous about reaching out. So again, we have set up wellness centers in all of our high schools, and these are spaces that quickly have become really appreciated by students. This is something that we want to expand if at all possible. The wellness centers are built to be a one-stop shop for any need that a student has. They can walk in and get time with a licensed therapist. They can walk in with questions or needing referrals. But these spaces have a navigator in them who acts as a kind of concierge to help students get in touch with any of the things that they need. There's also activities and things like that, so that these are also just places of relaxation if the kid needs a break in the middle of the day. And we work hard to make sure that students are aware of these spaces on campus. They've become pretty popular so that, yeah, if a student has a pressing need or just needs a quiet 10 minutes before going, during break, before going back to the day, this is where they can get it. We also wanted to make sure that everyone knows all the ways that you as parents can get involved at school. We have so many of these available. There's a PTA, PTO, or home and school club at every school, as well as some schools also have other booster groups that support sports or music and other endeavors. That's always a great way to get involved, to get to know your school better and to support your school. Your administrator at school will be hosting meetings throughout the year. This happens at every school. So, you'll have lots of opportunities to talk to the people in charge and ask questions. Every school has a school site council that helps provide input and guide what's going on at school. If that's something that you're interested in, you could reach out to your principal to see if there's an open seat on it. Our schools also have English learner advisory councils where families can help give input on what is needed, what is missing, and what is working in our supports and resources that are teaching English learners to be proficient in English. There's also the district version of that group where people from the ELACs from all the sites get together. We do have a district advisory committee, which is sort of similar to the site council, where parents can provide direct input on district matters. We also regularly have a parent leader meeting. I think we have 2 throughout the year, where leaders from ELAC and PTAs at different schools come together so we can talk about these issues district-wide. Our board meetings are posted on our website, so on the school district website. So if you're interested in attending a board meeting in person or online to learn more about the school and the school board, you can. And I also did want to just, as a parent, encourage everyone to volunteer in any way that you can. A lot of us don't have a lot of free time, but any time that you do spend with other parents at your school community really hugely pays off in helping to create connections within your community, better understand your school, and better understand your kids' experience. It's one of those things where, you kind of roll your eyes at it because because you're so tired at the end of the work week. But every time that you show up and every time that you get involved, just pays off a million times over and is good fun. That's one that I should have switched over earlier for Elisa. If there's any other issues or things that you're interested in, you can always approach your administrators and bring them up. We've seen schools sort of create different committees and groups as needed as they go. And while we have people here, we do want to let you know about our annual family survey. This is something that we send out every year, and it's easy for forms and surveys to get lost in the shuffle, but we usually send this out in the fall, and it is the primary way that parents are able to provide direct input into the district. And so we hugely value any and all feedback that we get in this survey, and it really drives all kinds of decision making at the district, financial decisions, curriculum decisions for the coming years, because we need to know what parents need. So please watch for this survey. Encourage other parents and friends of yours to fill it out because it's incredibly helpful to us. And not only that, it has totally changed the district. Input from our annual family survey has expanded our math programs and our math interventions and our math tutoring because parents said they needed and wanted help in math. Parent input is a big reason why we have added so many mental health supports and so many mental health support activities throughout the school year. Similarly, college guidance. We have started earlier. We've added more planning workshops in the high school level, and we've given more tools to families. And because this has been a big piece of input that we've gotten back from families. We've added supports for English learners. We've added after-school supports and academic supports in the class day. And we have made changes or improvements to campus security, which I'll talk about in a little bit. And all of that came from this annual family survey, essentially. So the only reason that we list all that out is because we think that sometimes people don't take the survey because they think, how much could this possibly impact my school district? And the answer is a lot. And so we really want everyone to fill it out when we send it. Okay. We also just wanted to talk a little bit about the ways in which we'll be in touch throughout the school year and the best ways of contacting us. We do try to keep our websites up to date. So you can always check there for information about your school and upcoming events and things like that. We will be sending emails out. We usually send an update email once a week, but we may send others. If something important is happening or a campaign is going on, you can always respond to any of those emails. Many parents do, and I try to get back to them directly. Well, I always get back to them, but I try to get back to them within, an hour or so of when they send it to me. We will be sending texts out at times. We try to be sparing with those so that we're not spamming people. So those usually like upcoming events and things that we really want to make sure people know about. You will be getting robocalls at times, almost exclusively to remind you that your student has been absent. I think every robocall that I've gotten is I didn't check out, I didn't excuse the absence of a sick kid, and I have to do that. Like I said, we'll be sending out surveys. We do try to put out regular video updates anytime we have a lot of complex news that we're sending out. And we're also active on social media. Feel free to follow the district there because we put out a lot of event updates and things like that there as well. And I did want to point out that at the bottom of every web page on all of the school websites, whether it's your school or the district, if you scroll all the way to the bottom, you'll find a contact form. That doesn't go nowhere. That goes right to the front office of your school. So if you're just not sure who to ask a question of, you can always just put it in there and it'll go straight to a human being who will be able to respond to it. Okay. We also always like to give a little bit of a window into school safety. We do follow the Secret Service data on school safety that shows that the key factors in keeping a school safe are actually connectedness and relationships at school. So we put a lot of time and a lot of effort into building student engagement and making sure that students are active on campus and that they're engaged and that they're building relationships with each other. We also, as I said before, work hard to provide mental health supports for students. We have regular check-ins for students. I think after third grade, and our counselors work with staff to sort of look for markers of distress and that sort of thing to make sure that if someone needs help, we're providing it. But we also work hard to train everyone in rapid response. In the event of any emergency, we work with local first responders and agencies. We're nearly finished rolling out keyless locking systems across the district that where doors only open for the correct key card and can be put into lockdown by teachers. We do have cameras on the entrances to campuses, especially after hours. We have an alert system that we use internally where all staff can be made aware of something, fire or earthquake as soon as it happens. And we wanted to make sure that our parents know that we do have an anonymous tip report line on all of our websites. There should be a number of places in the drop-down menus of your school websites where at the very bottom, that's where we try to put it so that it can be visible. It will say report a concern. And so you can always report anything that you're worried about on campus there, and it is anonymous. I should have switched that slide earlier. Feel free to ask any questions about that as well. And then very briefly, we just wanted to say thank you to our community for the passage of bonds. And we want to make sure that everyone is aware that we don't get any funding to repair or restore or modernize any of our school spaces. This can only be done by asking our community for a facilities bond. So chances are your school has something being built on it or has something that was recently built on it. We are working to modernize the entire district, and we're just incredibly grateful for this. We have some spaces that haven't been touched in decades, and being able to replace the infrastructure and to make these wonderful places to learn is just life-changing. And so I will say I went to Harbor High School and I played on the football field when it was a just puddle of mud. And every time I go out there, I'm thrilled that all of our high schools have these wonderful stadiums to play in. And beautiful modern classrooms as well. We also always want to make sure that people are aware of our sustainability efforts that go along with all of this bond work. And we have a web page where you can see the energy savings, the carbon savings, the water savings that is only made possible by the community's support of these facilities bonds. We're incredibly happy about it. And we also invite you to ask us anything about our workforce housing project, which was part of the last round of bonds that has now broken ground and is being built on Swift Street on the west side next to the Gateway School in that big long lot that has long been owned by the district. Again, it's because of community support that we're able to build this thing that will be able to attract and retain the wonderful staff that we have at our school sites. And so this is also a good opportunity. If you have any questions about the work that's being done at your school, you can ask. And you can always go to our website to learn more about these things. Okay, so that covers the kind of big information download of the things that we think will be useful for you to know to start the year. And now I do encourage anyone who hasn't already done it to enter your questions in the Q&A so that we can start engaging with those. I see many of them have already been answered.
Casey, can you talk a little bit about signing up for the parent portal to monitor grades and attendance and things like that? How do parents do that?
Yes, on our website, we have a link to the parent portal, and It's an Infinite Campus, and if you sign up for that parent portal, you can get access to see your students' attendance and see their grades and progress reports and things like that. And at your school site, you can also sign up, and most teachers send it automatically, where you can get messages through Google Classroom, weekly messages. So my daughter is going into 10th grade at Santa Cruz High, and I get a weekly update on how she's doing in all of her classes that's separate from Infinite Campus. So that one comes from the school site. Infinite Campus can come on our website, and there's also a link at the or on your school website as well.
There's a question about modernizing our buildings. Some of our campuses have a lot of modernization happening right now. And some of them have already gone through modernization. And so it just kind of depends on where your child's attending school. You'll be getting information from your principals about that, specifically about what those plans are for your child's school site. We're super grateful to our community for supporting us with the resources to make sure that we can have 21st century classrooms.
There's a question asking whether high school students can be included in email updates. And students do get regular updates from the high schools. Each does it a little bit differently, but they have updates through Google Classroom. They also have morning announcements, either auditory announcements or a little TV and slideshow. So students get a lot of the same information, but it's geared more specifically towards students, not so much the parents, but there is certainly some overlap with a lot of the messaging about upcoming events and things like that. And you could also forward it to your child, any emails that you get.
There's a question about our educator housing project and how teachers sign up for that. Well, we aren't opening that, or we're in the process of building. It won't be completed until July of 28. And employees will be ahead of that. Employees will learn about how they can sign up to be in the lottery for the housing. It's going to be for our regular employees, both certificated teachers, counselors, social workers, and our classified support teams.
There's a question about ninth graders getting their schedules at the freshman orientation. Typically they do. However, you want to go in and make sure that you do your online registration. Sometimes they'll hold up for you to get that finished before they hand that out. But if you have your online registration completed, your freshman would likely get their schedule tomorrow. And for the person that asked about posting students' classes that they hadn't been posted yet, schools post them all around now. There's maybe a little bit difference between them. So if it's not posted yet, I would suspect it'll be posted by tomorrow. A lot of the schools are making last minute changes with schedules and things like that. So it should be any moment.
And ninth graders do get their schedule at orientation. So there's a question about contacts versus emergency contacts and making a change to your Infinite Campus information. If you're struggling with making a change, contact your school's front office, and the staff in the front office will be able to help you with that. Is there an after-school program for our kindergartners? We have different after-school programs at different school sites. All of them have an after-school program. The programs at Bayview and Galt are run by the district. At Westlake and De La Viega, they're run by an organization called CKC. And the program at Monarch Elementary is run by Sprouts. If you have specific questions, again, about your school sites program, I encourage you to reach out to the school office, or you can reach out to us in the central office and we can let you know about how to access those opportunities.
There's a question, are there protocols in place in case of a lockdown in regards to informing parents? We have a very detailed and practiced incident command system where lots of different people have different roles. Our first priority is making sure students are safe and communicating with first responders, but there are people designated to communicate with parents as quickly as possible as well. And so as communication comes through first responders and our incident command team, we inform parents as soon as we can.
There's a question about screen time in elementary school, and I think that it's important to know that there isn't extensive screen time in elementary school. Sam, as the parent of elementary students, can you talk a little bit about what kind of screen time happens in elementary school?
Yeah. My experience has been that there are certain activities where students will move from kind of station to station. Um, and there will be one station where they are playing um, like an English or a math game on a laptop. But then, every 15 minutes or so they cycle out and they have drawing activities and they have, pen and paper word activities and things like that. So in my time in the classroom, I would not describe it as extensive. I would say that students spend the vast majority of their time not on screens. Um, I will say that for my son, it's been kind of nice that he can go home and continue certain school activities on his computer. We do, keep an eye on that. What we do is we say, if you want to interact with your school computer, do it in the living room so that we can kind of see how much time you're spending doing it. And he does it in relatively small chunks of time, again, 10, 15 minutes. So I've been pleased seeing my son just finish second grade. He's going into third. And he spends most of his time not on his school laptop, but they do open it a couple times, a few times a day.
There's a question about why our campuses are closed on the evenings and weekends. We've they used to be open. It's been many years now since they were open, but we've had extensive vandalism happen after hours. We've had fires started after hours. We've had just difficulties with people sleeping on our campuses, camping on our campuses. And for school safety, we've had to make the decision to make sure that those campuses are gated and closed in the after hours times.
Which is really hard because we know that most people probably would act pretty respectfully, but it only takes one or two people acting disrespectfully per day to really make things dirty and or dangerous for students the next morning.
There's a question about whether campuses are closed during school hours. Our campuses, our elementary campuses and our middle school campuses, yes, are closed and closed during school hours. And our high school campuses are open campuses. It means students can leave when they're not in class. So at lunch or break, they can leave the campus. But no one is supposed to come onto any campus who's a visitor without checking in through the office. And we have campus supervisors in our high schools that monitor and look for people who shouldn't be on campus during the school day. There's a question about having difficulty setting up the parent portal. Please go ahead and call the front office for your school and they can help you get that started. So it's asking about bell-to-bell policies for phones. The state law is actually that students have to be able to have access to their phone in an emergency. That is the state law. And so having a bell-to-bell policy is a tricky thing when that is the case. If you ask our students, if you ask our teachers, our policies have been very effective at keeping phones out of the classroom and keeping our students off the phones in TK-12. We have had long-standing policies in TK-8 that are very effective and kids follow, and our high schools implemented policies last year that are also very effective.
There's a question that I would rather maybe Elisa, you could help answer because I'm concerned about me typing it in Spanish, and it's just regarding policies and plans to prevent bullying on campus. And we have a lot of different things in place. We have school policies that are reviewed in depth with students, and lots of other programs to encourage school connectedness and create a positive culture. But the short answer is absolutely bullying isn't tolerated, and we act swiftly and support students that are having challenges with other kids.
There's a question about when our high school campuses close. Our high school campuses are buzzing with activity typically till about 10 at night because there's athletics going on, games, practices, events, theater programs. So from day to day, that the time is different. Our offices typically close at 4:30, but there's oftentimes that there are adults on campus working with students late into the evening. Is there a published menu for lunches, and we need to let the schools know ahead of time that they'll be eating at school that day? There is a published menu. I shared earlier in one of the responses the link to our website, the food services website that publishes a monthly menu that has a calendar with what is going to be served each day at elementary school and middle school and high school. You don't need to let us know ahead of time if you'll be eating that day. In elementary school in the morning, I do believe that they ask whether a student's taking lunch or not. But in middle school and high school, students just go to the cafeteria window and get their lunch.
So there's a question about how to get emails about your student's academic process. How do you sign up for that? I'm not sure if every school does that automatically. When I was the principal at Branson 40, we asked all teachers to invite all parents. So you can get that, but I'm not certain that every school does that. But you can certainly ask your students' teachers because all of our teachers do use Google Classroom. So if they don't do it automatically, a simple request will make that happen so you can get a weekly update for your kiddo.
Question about how people know if their online registration is finished or not. You're
Old
laughing.
memory like mine. You can, I can verify for you if you want to email me. I can look for your question here, and I can verify for you in the morning, and that goes for anybody here. I'll put my email for that question. You can take a look, and I will let you know in the morning.
There's a question about direct lines to school offices. There should be that someone picking up in school offices at this time. If for some reason you're not getting through or having difficulty, please call us at the central office. We're at 429-3410, and we will help get your question answered. What is the policy on promoting diversity and inclusion? One of our district core values is that we value diversity, and that we celebrate diversity, and that it makes us a richer community. And so our policy is that we welcome and support every child and work to make sure that they know that they are welcome in our schools.
If your kid is also in middle or high school, as I mentioned earlier, we do have a student advisory on race and equity, which is really just a forum where students can talk about how supported they feel and whether they feel that they need more supports or sort of what support looks like. So we let that conversation be student-led as much as possible. And if your kid is interested, that's something where they can reach out to their front office, their assistant principals, usually manage that and say, I'd be interested in being part of these conversations.
There's a great question that Nate asked. I'm so glad you asked this question, Nate, because it's good and important for all families. And that is, if you have a need as a family to be out of state for more than a week, how can we work with the school to ensure that our child does not fall behind and that there are no consequences for the absence? Your child's a kindergartner. Um, any student, if you know you're going to be out for longer than a day, a family can sign up for independent studies contract. And so teachers will provide work for them and they will be marked not absent, but as present. So it's kind of a win-win as your child is marked present and they also get work to stay caught up. And every school will offer that called independent studies contract.
Just a question concern about wanting to know if there was a buzzer to enter the front office during the school day. We don't have that. We do have cameras. We have had, been very fortunate in our community to have a supportive community. And we families can come into the office. They have to check in there. We do have registration systems. When you check in before you come on campus, you have to complete or submit an ID, and it goes through a screening tool before an adult is permitted to access the campus where students are. Policy on Apple Watches. They can't be in phone mode.
Your child's sixth grade Mission Hill schedule, you should have been emailed from the school all the information in a newsletter. I know Mr. Kendall's been sending out newsletters that gives you all the information you need, including schedule pickup. If you did not get those emails, I would call the school tomorrow morning and they'll get that to you. Really important for everybody to sign up for and get the principal's emails for all schools. They send out weekly informational letters that has all sorts of really important information for you to help your child be successful in school.
And
Don't
please
block our
don't,
emails.
yeah, please don't block our emails because you don't get emergency communication either. When you block our emails or decide that you're going to block phone numbers for robocalls, it means you don't get communication from us. For spring sports, there's a question about our physicals needed right away. No, for spring sports, you got time. You can still, you'll still be able to have time to get that physical taken care of. And just so you know, every spring we do free physicals. PAMP and Dignity Help they come to Harbor High and set at Harbor High in the gym, and we offer free physicals to all of our students who need them for sports for the next school year. Is there any conversation? So I want to talk a little bit about the start time of school. And we changed the start time of school based on student requests. Our high school students have to take high stakes exams in May, and they want to have as much preparation for those high stakes exams as they possibly can have. And so that's why we start our school year when we do, so that students can have as much preparation for their AP exams, for their IB exams, for all the tests that they have to take. Sophomore, junior, senior year, that gives them credit for college courses and other things. So it was at student request that the board made the decision to shift actually our calendars are negotiated with our teachers. So teachers had to agree, and our teachers agreed that this was important, and our students asked for this. So it may, as a parent, maybe of an elementary or middle school student, that may not be relevant in your life, but it will be at some point.
There's a great, just a comment in Spanish, and Elisa could translate. Just about the importance of students and teachers understanding the needs of autistic students that are in the classroom. And that it's important to make sure that people understand, including other students. And I think we agree with that completely, and work hard to make sure that all students are accepted, no matter who they are and where they're from, and what their language is, et cetera, and what their abilities are. So we do believe in that, and that's part of our core values. And we appreciate that comment.
I also want to answer that. There's another question about the state law AB 3216 all around Phone Free Schools Act. We are following the Phone Free Schools Act. We kids cannot have their phone in class. They cannot have it distracting them during instruction, which is what the Phone Free Schools Act intent is. We spent an extensive amount of time the year before last working with both high school students and high school parents to get feedback on putting that policy in place. And it's important to know that for as many parents that want absolutely no phone access during the day, we had a lot of parents that were really concerned we were limiting phone access during the day. And so we built that policy in collaboration with our community. And like I said, our students are finding it to be effective. Our teachers are finding it to be effective. There's a question about why a student would need an email. A student needs an email to access certain academic programs that they are accessing during the school day. If they're I don't think our elementary, I don't think our early elementary has an email, but it's after that.
I think the email account may be created, but it's not really in use for quite a while.
And it's a closed system, so students can only email within the system to their teacher or other classmates.
There's a question about e-bikes. Well, first, there's a question about written policy regarding students' phone access. Where can you find that? Every school has that on their website, their pull-down menu on their website. For Annie, and then Rosie's asking about e-bikes information. If your student's a middle schooler or was a fifth grader last year, you should have received information regarding a safety program, a safety and training program and registration that we're doing, where all middle schoolers will have to have their e-bikes registered by September 1st. And we have about a 2-hour training that students are going through. We have not, this is a pilot program. We haven't implemented that at the high school. So currently students can ride their e-bikes to the high school without registration. Oh, look at Alyssa posted it. Thank you, Alyssa. Duh, I should have said it's on the website.
There's questions about whether our staff is trained in first aid and CPR. Some of our staff are, and there's always someone on campus. We also have there's 80. Is it ADEs? Is that what it is called, Casey? The
What was the question?
Defibrillators. We have defibrillators
Yes.
on all of our
Yes,
campuses.
we have several AEDs on every school site that are accessible in the areas that would be most likely to be needed at near athletic fields, gymnasiums, and things like that. They're easy to use, and staff are aware of where they are. There's a question about should I fill out a free lunch even if we may not be low income? And the answer is yes. There's other benefits that you get from that. And the school district gets some information that is helpful to us as well. So it's really helpful if all parents, whether you think you may be considered low income or not, complete the school lunch form.
There's a question about how do we prepare young children for our fire and intruder drills. Our staff do age appropriate training and preparation. We have something called the standard command response for schools. And all of our first responders are aware of it, and our teachers and our school leaders are really conscious about making sure that those trainings and drills are age appropriate and thoughtful for all of our kids, and helping them to be safe and learning how to both evacuate the building and how to be secure in a classroom when they need to be secure in a classroom.
There's a question about why do students need to email other students within a closed system, and wouldn't that create another opportunity for bullying? Honestly, our students don't use a lot of email. They do have access to email, and they have an email given to them from the district. Some teachers may ask them to check their email for messaging, but they really access Google Classroom without using email. And so a lot of our students just don't need or use email. There are some that they're starting to feel and grow up like adults and use them, but generally speaking, they're not in significant use.
And oftentimes it's, our high school students are using it for um, communicating with their teachers, asking for, and our middle school students will do this well too, to communicate with their teachers and ask for help. They also might communicate with a classmate if they're working on a group project together.
There's a question about PE. If it's first period, do they shower before the rest of the day? Are the showers private? I think showers pretty much are not used these days at our secondary schools. And many of them are also going to students doing exercise and things in their street clothes without changing out, or just having the option to change out. So kids aren't showering much these days, if at all, at secondary schools for PE. That's nice to hear, Miriam. Thank you for the compliment. And the e-bikes, we're seeing a significant need, and we have partners with the Santa Cruz Police, with the Sheriff Department, with Ecology Action, and the City of Santa Cruz. There's a lot of agencies that have a lot of vested interest in safe cycling and safe bike riding. So it's a team effort, and we hope that it has an impact for sure, because the accidents are on the rise all over the country. So thank you for the compliment.
Question about sports starting Friday. Not sure what grade span you are, that you signed up for cross country and you haven't heard anything about it. I would call the school site and ask to talk to the athletic director, or someone in the office can probably answer that question for you too. And if you want to tell us who specifically is what school you're specifically at, we can answer that question now.
And schools, sports and athletic directors are really flexible at the beginning of the year. They're excited and happy for kids to come out. And even if they don't show up or aren't sure where to go, the first couple of days, they can come later, not a problem. And I would send my kid with something comfortable and some running shoes on Friday, just in case.
And that the schools haven't published all of their schedules yet. When they will make them available. I'm not sure what day this week they are going to be available online. But if your child's a new student going into the middle school or high school, they'll pick up their schedule at orientation. Start day for school is Thursday. So Thursday is when school starts. At all of our campuses, if your student is new to the campus, there's probably an orientation time, so you'll want to call and find out exactly when that is. And We're excited to welcome you all. And it's so great to see so many wonderful questions. And we're happy to be able to answer them now. And we're always available to answer questions when you have them. We planned this for an hour, so we're going to go ahead and be wrapping up this evening, but that doesn't mean we're not available to continue answering your questions. Just please reach out via email or call our district office. Again, the district office phone number is 429-3410. And you can also reach folks at your school sites. And just thank you so much for being a part of the Santa Cruz City Schools community. And we hope you and your families have a wonderful school year. Please get involved. We want to partner with you in making our schools a great place to learn. Thanks. Have a good night.
Thank you
Thank
all
you.
for coming.
Have a good evening.